We now have breaking news.
The most respected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman.
What is sisterhood? It's an important element of women's empowerment. It is a bond that is formed between women that allows them to offer support and guidance to one another, where women are able to share their experiences and support one another with strength and courage, and without judgment. However, this bond is not always easy to come by, especially for Black women, who are often placed in scenarios that promote conflict within.
They have a giant
Society is full of harmful stereotypes that shape the way Black women are seen in the world and damage our relationships with others and each other. In this mini-series, you will join me and Keisha as we welcome together an incredible group of women to tackle these stereotypes head-on and highlight the importance of authentic sisterhood for Black women. Join us as we welcome Dani, the host of My Survivor Voice podcast, and Marlowe, the woke therapist, to share their insights and experiences. Some good, some bad, but all unscripted. Hey everybody, welcome to Relationships Through the Looking Glass. This is our mini series, Unscripted. A lot of excitement around this mini series. I'm excited. But I'm even more excited to introduce who our panel guests are for this series. So I'm going to go around the room, and then we're going to kind of go into why we're doing this mini series, and then the importance of it, and then jump into the topic. So we're going to go ahead and start with Keisha, since she's the co-host of Through the Looking Glass. Go ahead and say hi to the people.
Well, hello, everyone. I, like Michelle, is very excited about this mini series we're fixing to jump into.
Tell us about why you think it's important.
Hey, I think it's important. It's one of those subjects that we need to constantly keep speaking on, especially when it comes down to women and how we are viewed, the different stereotypes. And I think it's the time it's always been, but definitely now for us to address those things and process it and try to shine some light on it. So that's why I think it's important.
Right. And Danielle, and when you have been with us multiple times in some serious hard-hitting topics around trauma, around intimate partner violence, and the work that you're doing in that arena, it just speaks to my heart. And I love that you're doing it and support it 2010%. But let me hush so you can tell everybody who you are, about your platform, and how you're making an impact in the lives of so many.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Dani. I am the founder and president of R3 Memorial Foundation Incorporated, which is a nonprofit organization that provides supportive services to women and individuals, I'll say, experiencing domestic violence. We provide everything from, the typical toiletry bags and things like that to crisis transportation to help those survivors get away from their abusers. And then we also provide safety planning, just education on how to get away safely and leave quietly. I'm also the host of My Survivor Voice, which is a podcast platform that allows individuals of color to have a voice and share their story of trauma to triumph, in a sort, in order to be able to let other people who look like us know that there is life after trauma, and trauma is not who you are and it doesn't define you. So I actually am getting out of the podcast game soon because my nonprofit is growing much quicker than I thought it would. And I have to turn my attention to that because that is where my heart lies, is seeing lives transformed and seeing people come out of abuse and live independently from it. So that's me in a nutshell.
And that's amazing. But hopefully, even if when you transition out, we can still pull you in for guest host spots and things of that nature, because
definitely
your voice definitely needs to be heard, and because it's the voice for many. Advocacy speaks near and dear to my heart, which many of us already know. So thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
And Marlowe, talk to us.
Well, my name is Marlowe. Most people know me as the woke therapist, and I'm an author. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm a part-time YouTuber. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a YouTuber. And I'm also the founder of Our Sanctuary, which is an online women's empowerment group. And I love humans and I love seeing them transform.
Which is funny because we're both INFJs, and
totally
I can take humans and I can look.
It just doses.
Small.
Yeah,
small
doses. Minute would
minute
be a good word.
Yes. So a powerful panel is what we have, and we're about to jump into some powerful topics. The first being the whole point of why I really wanted to do a series like this. A few months back on TikTok, there was a Black girl train trend. And the whole point was Black women, Black creators supporting one another by following one another. Beautiful concept, right? No one's getting hurt. Nothing is going on that is any shenanigans. It's just Black women supporting other Black women. But the backlash was ridiculous. How many people were so upset? How many videos were made? And it wasn't even just people of other color. Black men were mad. And I'm like, am I missing something? Because I mean, I do have moments where I'm a naive and I don't catch things. So I'm like, am I missing something? But I wasn't. And I'm like, you know what? There needs to be a conversation about this. Why? So that's the purpose of Unscripted. People, it's a time to have a conversation about topics that impact our community, specifically Black women, in a way that we can really have an honest conversation where we're not following into what people feel we should be saying. So starting with that, I'm just going to throw it out to you all. Are you familiar with that trend that was going on a couple months ago, and then some of the backlash that we were getting from that? And then what's your opinion? Like, what was that about?
I found out it's interesting because first of all, let me caveat this by saying I'm not a big social media person. I'm kind of one of those people that post and go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started TikTok during the pandemic, but as I scrolled through it, I realized this is not for my age range. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is too much. So of course, I have subscribers for my channel that are on TikTok, and they subscribe. So I had like 300 people or something. But I was like, oh, in order to go live, I need like 1,000, right? And I was like, I'm never gonna get to 1,000. But then it was a young lady that actually works for me who told me, like, oh my gosh, have you heard about the Black Girl Follow Train? And I was like, what is that? And she was, giving me the whole premise of it. It's like, Black women creators following each other. I was like, oh my gosh, that's dope. So I thought it was amazing. And I made a couple of TikToks about it because like I did it. Like I made one little video, put the little hashtag, and like I just started growing and followers like instantly. So I think I hit like 1,000 in probably like a couple of days. And it's just like the encouraging messages I was getting from other creators. And I was like, oh my God, this is the thing. Like, oh, okay. And we're like liking each other's stuff and everything and following each other. So it was a beautiful thing. And I ended up getting a whole radio interview out of it. Like it was a whole ordeal. So I was like thanking everyone because I was like, dude, like witnessing this and being a part of this was just like, I don't even have words for it. Like I get like super like gassed every time I talk about it, because it's probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed with all of the destruction that's on social media. Like seeing women who do not know each other, have no other vested interests, come together in that way was beautiful. But as you said, when you search the hashtag, I started seeing all of these other videos and I was like, whoa, where is this anger coming from? And I mean, it was things I was seeing from, you know, women of other nationalities that felt that it was excluding other people. You know what I'm saying? Like it was excluding other, and it wasn't fair. And then, of course, I saw Black men that are just things I would not even want to repeat. So I was confused and perplexed by that, because especially on TikTok, it's the fact that, you know, it's pretty much well known in media that a lot of Black creators, period, whether they're male or female, don't really get a lot of recognition for their content. So I was totally taken aback at that, because I'm just like, this is a way that they're kind of like breaking the algorithm and sticking it to the man, if you will. You know what I mean?
Exactly, right.
And I couldn't understand. I was like, where is this upset coming from? I was so perplexed by that.
It's crazy, right? Because like you said, it was beautiful and people were uplifting. They were responding. They were like, yeah, this is no, I did not see one negative post from one Black female to the other. It was from everybody else. Like, why are you so mad?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same train, no pun intended, as y'all are. Same. That was my same thought process. I have made plenty of TikToks, but they usually stay in my draft. I don't normally post them just because I'm like, my son has a TikTok. I'm not.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I did hop on the Black Girl Power train, and just a lot like Marlowe, my page started to grow, because like in the beginning, my page was private. I had like about 4 followers. They were all family members. And then I made it public just for that. And, you know, I got like a couple hundred. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And like you said, the comments and everybody gassing me up, like, you wearing that purple?
Yep.
You know, all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, that day. But then as you scroll your For You page and you see a person, a human, with this whole attitude, like, why can't everybody hop on this trend? Why is this trend just for Black women? Because we need this sisterhood. We need to know that there's somebody out there like me who understands me, understands my day in and my day out, and gets where I'm coming from. And just that love makes us feel good. Are we not entitled to feel good? What's wrong with that? And why does it make you so angry that somebody wants to compliment me? Why does it make you so angry that somebody understands me? And to this day, I still don't understand it. I don't know that I care to understand it. Because I'm in this phase of my life where I feel like that's a you problem. You have the problem with it, not me.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I am fairly new to TikTok. So, but y'all are encouraging me to become a part of this movement. I've probably been on TikTok now from, I don't know, maybe about 3 months or so. Not many posts or anything. So I kind of forget it's there, believe it or not. So I am going to look into this because it sounds exciting to me.
Yes.
And become a part. I'm more
baby tribe.
Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, I do have kids too, and I guess that's another reason why I kind of shy away from it. But I won't jump on that. But I think the movement is excellent. It's definitely good women empowerment.
What do y'all feel though about the anger that Black men were throwing? What was that about?
Insert eye roll here. Made me roll my eyes. Like, what is the problem?
But it's just like you said, because I wrote it down because like I felt that in my spirit, child. Are we not entitled to feel good? Right? You said it in question form, but if we made that a statement, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not. It's like, you're not entitled to feel good. Like, we have an entire conspiracy going on here to try to get you guys to realize that you are the bottom of the totem pole, right? You are supposed to curse your existence and not like yourself because there's nothing to be liked. We got passports. Right.
We're even leaving the country to get away from you.
Right. Because you're so horrible. And it's like the audacity of you to self-empower.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
Agreed.
legit what it is. That's legit what it is. But I can't help but like, as much as I would like to say, like, okay, they're tripping. Maybe it's the therapist in me, but every facet of my being like wants to psychoanalyze it. It's like I want to know the deeper root, the deeper implications, aside from, because I feel on a societal level, we live in cancel culture. You know what I'm saying? So if something is ever not politically correct or all inclusive, it's a generation of people that are literally trying to find a problem with something. It's like, even if you respond to something, the fact that you didn't respond in the proper tone, it's like, you should have been more angry. You were not angry enough, so you're canceled. You know what I'm saying? So I feel deeper than that, like with it being a Black woman to Black female type of thing. I feel that's very valid in the sense of, it's almost like you don't deserve nice things almost, but it begs that little, itch that makes you want to dig deeper to be like, but why though?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? But why?
And that's probably why the miniseries has started, because I do have those questions. And another question is, how come we weren't able to transfer all that energy off social media into day-to-day life? Because let me tell you, I'm gonna be 100% right. This is unscripted. When I hear about somebody in the workplace being a bit challenging or going into the write-up office and things like that, one of the first things I'm thinking, oh God, I hope it's not one of us. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
It's like, I can't stand that. That's my first thought. But it's like, you hear behavior and you're like, I bet you it's one of us. What is that about? And does it tie into the avatars, the Sapphire, the Mammy, the Jezebel, all of these personality descriptors that they give the Black female? And if you don't fit into one of those, you're either forced into one or you're not really one of us.
Right.
Let's talk about that part.
Yeah, definitely. Same. Whenever I hear about something major hitting the news like that, I do always think, oh God, I hope it's not one of us. And then there's even a part of me that says, I bet it's one of us.
I bet it's one.
Like,
yep.
I just know. I just know it's one of us. But with that said, I think the reason behind that is because that's what society has conditioned us to expect out of us, because of those stereotypes and because of those, those Black avatars.
Right.
That's what's been ingrained in us, that is all that we are capable of.
Exactly.
That's what we are supposed to give. And so it's hard. We kind of have to deprogram ourselves from that.
Because I can remember all my life being called Oreo, or you talk like a white girl.
Same.
And you're like,
same.
What does talking like a white girl even mean? Or what do you expect me to shuck and jive? Like, I don't understand what you're expecting from me, because I'm just being who I am. And that's a Black female. That's somebody who loves my heritage, but you're making me feel as if I don't belong. And a lot of those statements were coming from my own people.
Yes.
Yeah, so much so that you have to, especially growing up in the Midwest, like, you have to learn the art of code switching early on. And I get it, code switching can be useful sometimes, but I just want to be me.
Right.
I just want to be who I am. I want to speak how I want to speak. I think the best thing that ever happened to me was moving to the South, and I feel like I inherited a country accent, a Southern accent. So people can now tell. But before I moved to the South, like, I never got the Oreo comment, but I would get like, why you talk white? That's the Midwest thing. Why you talk white? I just use correct English because I had really good teachers. And this is just me. I don't talk white. What is that? But so much so that I just began code switching. So I would get around, people who look like me, and I would implement the slang and change. I would even change my accent, like my tone of voice, until I got older and was like, you don't get whatever Dani you
Come on,
get
show
today.
us, show us, show us, Dani, show us. Coach would show us. I want to see it.
We'll see. I'm country now. Look, I done got this southern accent now, but like I would get around and be like real. This is gonna sound very horrible. Just disclaimer here. Insert disclaimer here. But I would dumb myself down with my English. We was going. Yep. Because that's what the people who were talking to me, that's how they spoke. So that's how I started speaking. And my mom would be like, you what?
Right.
You're doing what? We're not doing that. We were going. But, just like changing my grammar, changing my tone, like this is how I talk normally. I would get the whole, girl, because that, what? But now it's like, you're just going to get whatever you get out of me today. Right. Because it takes too much. It takes entirely too much work to try to mimic what I'm around just for you not to mention who I am. And so that was before I became okay with who I am, though.
I'm sorry. My experience has been a little different. I was born up north, but raised in the country, in the deep South, where I would be considered a geech. So, and it's bad. It can get, and it's worse like when I get around my family and everybody, we don't say every word. So it can be considered as, oh my God, you're uneducated because you miss these words or you say it like this. So it's kind of a different experience for me. And I know we get stereotyped big time. People, they automatically assume, oh gosh, you don't speak proper English. And and it all ties back to culture. So it's not that you're uneducated. This is just the heritage. This is what it is in this area. And you just adjust to that. So that's a whole nother layer of being stereotyped. So,
dude, I resonate with Dani so much because in my personal experience, a lot of people don't know this because I'm a NOLA girl. You know what I'm saying? I reps New Orleans all day, 1.5. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, before my dad got a job offer in New Orleans. My parents, of course, are from New Orleans, but I grew up in Dallas and we ended up moving back here. And when I was living in Dallas, I never had anyone ever tell me anything like, you talk white or anything. It was me, it was my friends, and it was life. But child, the second that I got to New Orleans, though, it was a whole nother world. You understand? A whole nother world. And that's when the Oreo comments came and you think you white. And I mean, getting teased for my hair being long, and I tell that story, like, I pause now saying it because I've told that story to like so many people and they're like, wait, people tease you because your hair was long? I was like, yeah. It was like, Black people don't have long hair. And it was like, Mom, please cut my hair. My mom's like, have you lost your mind? Hair is a woman's glory. Right? So with me, I was just like, man, I don't know how to not talk like I talk. Because even though I lived in Dallas, I never really had like a drawl type of deal because my dad is a stickler for, diction and enunciation of words and things of the sort. So I feel as a younger child, I embraced it. I think it was somewhere around my teenage years where I just felt it was almost like a disconnect. And I noticed that, okay, if I adapt, because child, y'all could hear it now, my NOLA accent is here, right? But I noticed, I was like, dude, if I stop being so hard on myself to enunciate as I was raised, and I kind of let myself slide into it, I noticed I got a different response from people. And I was like, oh, I want to be accepted. So that's kind of like how Dani was saying. It's like I started that whole dichotomy to where it was instant, to where it became second nature, to where who's around is just like, hi, nice to meet you. Pleasure. Oh my gosh. Yes. Wonderful. So like, girl, I know you lying. Ooh, well, I'm about to go make these groceries, baby. First of all, one thing about it, two things for sure, babe. Hello. Who? Not me. You. I. No, ma'am. Right? So it became a thing. But it's like growing up as an adult now, it's like I see that issue. And the thing that blesses my heart is that something that my son, who speaks eloquently, mom brag, that's something he never deals with. Like I've asked him that before, and he's like, no. He was like, I done had a couple people say like, dog, why you talk so proper? But he's never had someone say like, you're acting white or you talk white. So I think that's one progression for their generation. But I know for ours, dude, it's so prevalent, and those same little kids are adults now.
Right.
Hence why we have those issues.
Right. And
good observation.
right. And it's kind of looking at it to be, you're fighting to be accepted everywhere. You're not just trying to assimilate with the majority of the population. We're also trying to assimilate with ours. And it's like, where does it end? Where do the black woman, right? The female, when you look at it, we are one of the most poorly treated races, genders. If you look at numbers, domestic violence counts, obviously I'm going to bring that up. The biggest threat to us as a black female is another black man. That is terrifying.
Unfortunately, yes.
Right. But no one wants to talk about it. So we're not only trying to be seen and heard on the platform with the majority within population and culture, we're fighting for safety in our own homes. So I go back to the question again, why is everyone, majority of the people, so threatened by the power, by the presence of Black females?
I think you just gave the answer when you said by the power. Everybody knows, without even speaking it, how powerful and how resilient and how strong and courageous Black women are. Imagine, and also everybody knows that there's strength in numbers.
Right.
Imagine getting that amount of beautiful, bold, courageous, resilient, intelligent. Black women are some of the most intelligent beings in this nation. Imagine getting us all together. Do you know what type of force we would be? They're afraid. They're afraid of the power of the Black woman. And that's why we get the backlash we get. That's why we get the treatment we get. And that's why we don't get the support that we so desperately need.
Right.
Absolutely. So much has been done to try to break the Black woman. You know, I mean, when we go back, looking back in history, from childbirth without, meds and just different things that's been done to us to break us. And still yet we stand. And you're right. There's so much strength in numbers, so much strength in representation when we come together and stop fighting each other and come together. There's a lot of strength there.
And I'm glad you brought the medical piece up, because there's studies, actual studies, peer-reviewed, empirical data, studies and research. Black women do not get treated the same when it comes to medical treatment.
They think that we can endure the pain.
We don't get the same medication. We don't get the same amount of medication. We wait longer for services. Sometimes we're not even offered medical procedures that many other people are offered. And even talking about that is making me mad. It hurts.
Yeah. And the first option, hysterectomy.
Oh, my word.
They want us to stop. You want us to stop.
Absolutely. They don't want you to reproduce.
No more reproduction.
You're going to produce more of you? Absolutely not.
Yes. Yeah.
And even just hearing that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. I'm over here goosebumping.
Because this is our reality.
Because one of the girls on my staff at our sanctuary, her name is Precious, and she does our grief group that's for women who have lost parental figures. And her mother died of cancer some years back, and she was telling me about what she witnessed as a child of her mother as a cancer patient, and how doctors blatantly told her, like, she's like, my mom's in pain. They're like, oh, she's just being a baby. And it's like, this woman's dying of cancer and saying she's in stage 4, saying she's in pain, and you're saying she's being a baby. And that's why she's so passionate about being an advocate for other women whose mothers are going through medical treatment and stuff and needing someone to speak up on your behalf. Because you think about it, you have a parental figure, your mother of all things, and, you know, she's ailing and you're caught up in the throes of that. You can't think clearly. You can't be logical. You know what I mean? You can't sit up here and pull a doctor outside and be like, look, first of all, sir, right? But if you have someone that's standing up for you, you know what I mean, that's advocating for you as you're going through this process. And I was like, man, I was like, that's game changing, because that's like with cancer, and not because I know in Louisiana, we have a high rate of breast cancer here, but the highest rate of sufferers of breast cancer in the state of Louisiana are Black women, you know, and a lot of it has to do with miseducation and the countless cancer allergies that we have from all the refineries, but that's not the end of there. But it's just the fact that there's a lack of education, it's a fear, and it's the fact that people fear the doctor because when you go, you're treated that way. And on the other side, it's, you know, prenatal care and postnatal care, you know what I mean? It's horrendous. It's literally horrendous. And the thing I did want to say, though, is I feel a lot of times why we don't get the support that we need is because of, like how Michelle was saying, the tropes, right? It's like the tropes have become schemas. The schemas have become archetypes. You know what I'm saying? To where it's embedded in humanity, to where it's almost, and I even hate to use this word, but we're being honest. That's why we're doing this, you know, unscripted, right? It's almost like the word of people's perception of Black women is brutish. You know what I'm saying? Like in my personal experience, I had a boss where I was being assertive, literally, like was not yelling, nothing. There was literally another person, thank God. There was a Black male who worked with me that was in the office. It's when I was working in marketing. And she said something to me that was very insulting. And I was like, I would appreciate if you didn't speak to me that way. She started screaming. Oh, she's being aggressive. I feel threatened. And she literally runs out of the office screaming. The poor guy is sitting there looking confused, like, I don't understand. And so he's like, I don't know what happened. Like, she just said, don't speak to me. And she said, I don't know. And I was like, I know. It's okay. I'm aggressive, you know. And that's literally the story that was told. It's like, she's so aggressive. But that goes back to that whole archetype of being brutish. Or I've even seen, you know, guys react to women I've worked with before where, you know, they say something that's like, oh, don't hit me. Oh, don't, you know, and it's like, wow, like this, really? Like, this is what we're doing? But these are all things that are pushed through, you know, through media. It's things that are being perpetuated, and it falls into almost like self-fulfilling prophecy territory. Right. Because it's like when you have tropes like that you're continuously fighting against, it's like people treat you differently and you end up, you know, succumbing to it. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy biased almost. You know what I mean?
So because we are a solution focused crew, how do we address this? How do we get this topic conversating? Because here's the deal: there's going to be people who aren't going to like what we're saying.
No, of course.
There are going to be people who are going to complain. There are going to be people who are saying, well, what about us? You know, we have problems too. We are not trying to say other people don't have problems, but from where I sit, we are carrying a huge load, a majority of them, because we don't just have to fight and run faster than the man, right? We have to run and fight and go faster than everybody. Everybody. How do we get our voices heard where it's not what Marlowe said? It's not aggression. We're not being aggressive. We're just trying to be heard. And if every time we speak up, we're being dismissed because we're a threat, how do we get past that?
I think it's what we're doing right here is step number one. Have those tough conversations. Express ourselves eloquently, but also assertively. This is how we feel. This is what we're facing. You cannot eliminate or erase our truth. And then Now the question for me is, how do we get other people to hear us other than listen to us, rather than hear us? Because we've been saying this now, especially since this whole Black girls rock movement over the last few years. You know, we've been screaming it, we've been saying it. This community has grown of, you know, Black women who feel the same way, but it's still almost as though the people that need to know and hear us are not listening to us. So for me, that's the question. How do we get them to listen? Other than being aggressive, because then we're proving their point, essentially. Then that's something for them to throw in our faces. Like, see, I told you she was an angry Black woman,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
But it's almost as though speaking like this does not ruffle their feathers, or it doesn't get their attention. So that's really the question for me. And in all honesty, I don't know how, other than constantly. Eventually, I guess if we talk about it enough, they'll get tired of hearing us and finally listen to us. But outside of that, I do not know.
Yeah.
I think it's the rise of the awkward Black girl.
No, that's me right here.
Yeah.
I'm awkward. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Me too. Like, that's why, like, I adore Issa Rae because I was a #1 fan of her web series on YouTube back in the G. But like, because I was so happy to see that new archetype brought into the sphere of where, you know, you're a kid raised in the suburbs and, you know, you're in between two worlds, but there's so many of us that exist that, you know, like, something needs to represent us in a sense or another. But I feel it's like there's amazing things Black women are doing all over. But I feel it's like in this generation now, like, you know, social media and influencers, personalities, and the fact that people are showing more, I'm going to use air quotations here, showing more authentic sides of themselves, even though ever slightly curated, you know what I'm saying, in the social media sphere, and kind of seeing like the back end of people's lives in so many words. I feel that that's something that helps because it introduces people to a new normal of saying that, you know, what it is that you thought that we were, or, you know, what tropes it is that you thought that we fell into. It's like, there's different ones. You know what I mean? It's like you have super woo-woo Black women. You have, you know, highly intellectual Black women, you know, you have like super girly, whatever, like whatever, you know, stereotype you want to utilize. It's more or less giving people more insight into the gradients within Black women. So that would be my hope, but that is me being very optimistic. That is my hope.
Right. And I agree with all of y'all, you know, what everyone is saying. I think we first need to start with the sisterhood of ourselves. Like, as we are, you know, presenting ourselves to everyone else outside of the African American race, we have to start with the sisterhood of ourselves. We got so many of us as Black women who are misrepresenting ourselves in social media until it's becoming the norm. It's almost like, if you're not looking this type of way or acting this type of way, you're not as important. You're not it. So it's like the woman that's educated who's doing all these great things as what we all are doing right now. It's like, oh, whatever, they're boring. So I think it needs to start within the circle of the sisterhood of Black women itself. You know, we need to start here as we are projecting it out to other people. So I think the work needs to start here first.
And like Dani said, we are powerful.
Yeah.
And that is what's scary. I mean, Beyonce was selling tickets for how much? And people were buying them? You know what I'm saying? It's and we really have to, like Keisha said, start in the house. Start in the house before we try to adjust what's going on outside. And that starts with the Black Follow Train movement. That's where things can start that way. And you know, people are going to talk and be mad, but we keep going. And I think that's what we have to do, is keep going. We need the same medical treatment. Okay. We do hurt. Okay. Me asking for a raise is not being aggressive. Me enunciating words is not being, you talk like a white girl. Like, we have to stop that, because people feel judged. And like, okay, well, if I can't be myself, then let me fit into one of these groups so I can belong. And as humans, we want to belong. It's part of the human experience. But who are we belonging to? That's the question.
Amen to that.
Right.
That's the question. So with that, we're going to wrap up our first episode of Unscripted, which this was very unscripted. And I know we're going to get some responses. I know we're going to get some people who are going to have some issues with what we talked about. But that's okay, because you know what? That means you're talking. That means you're talking.
And that's the start.
And that's the start. If you think something we said was wrong, let's talk about it. Because I guarantee you, if you're not a Black female, you do not know what we go through on a daily basis, what we do when we have to raise our kids, our sons, our daughters, what we have to hear, who we have to fight, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely.
We need champions just as much as we champion for other people. Every advocacy group, every march, every walk, you will find one of us. But we don't get the same respect. And that's why we just have to, I feel these conversations are needed.
Amen to that.
Definitely agree.
As we wrap up, throw about all the ways everybody can find you all. Because we want people to get to know us. Get to know us. Instead of pointing, instead of lurking, instead of judging, get to know us. We might be somebody completely different than what you ever thought. Right. So tell us where to find you, Dani.
Okay, you can follow me on Instagram at My Survivor Voice. That's my advocacy platform. Actually, it's my podcast platform that I'm transitioning into my advocacy platform as I wrap up podcasting. And you can also please follow our my nonprofit at Our 3 Inc. That's OUR, the number 3 INC on Instagram and Twitter. Just follow us, keep up with what we're doing. We don't share a lot of client content, but we do share a lot of important information, if you will. So make sure you follow that page and keep up with what's going on in the DV world.
Your turn, Marlowe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I missed the cue, girl. What was the cue? What was the cue? Hello, y'all. It's Marlowe. So, you can find me at, little A sign, The Woke Therapist everywhere. My website's thewoketherapist.com. I'm the Woke Therapist on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of the social medias, the interwebs and whatnot or whatever. Just Google The Woke Therapist and you'll find me.
Keisha.
Well, of course, you can find me at Relationship Through the Looking Glass podcast, as well as Change Women Break. I have a women empowerment group too. You can follow us on Instagram as well as Facebook. Also, Center of Hope Youth Advocacy. I'm also a licensed counselor, so you can follow us there too.
So if you made it this far, thank you. Thank you. And we really hope that you join us for the next episodes that come up. And again, get to know us and listen to what we're talking about, because we're not here to get under anybody's skin, but if we do, that means we're doing something right? Because conflict brings change. And one thing I'm not scared of is conflict. That doesn't make me an aggressive Black female. That means I'm an advocate for change. So we got to start somewhere, right? So I hope you guys catch our next episode with Unscripted. Definitely follow us on the Instagram, because we'll have little nuggets off and on throughout, just little facts of how you can learn more about who we are and what we're doing. So again, if you made it this far, thanks, and we hope to see you at our next episode.